Hey people, they say out there that me, my children, my grandchildren don't have a right to privacy, don't have a right to make choices for our own bodies as females and concerning our own medical, mental, physical health, including in the cases that whatever it is putting my life at risk, or my daughter's life at risk, or my granddaughter's life at risk. They say that politicians and the religious right should have the right to interfere in my privacy and my medical choices. Okay. Then I say, I want all politicians, all public members, to not only not have the right to their own privacy, but also to have the public and politicians to determine whether or not whatever medical treatment they are getting is deemed acceptable by the public and politicians. So you rich people out there who have size A boobs, well, if the public and politicians decide that you should not be allowed to get a boob job, because let's just face it, getting a boob job puts a baby at risk. If for some reason you have to breastfeed that child, okay? You have your child born during a time when Infamil isn't available. So your child has to drink your breast milk. You put your child at danger because that breast implant can burst. Therefore, giving it to your child. Or whatever. So, if you want a breast job, you're not getting it. You want to determine whether or not me, my children, or anybody else can take birth control. Well, Mr., I want to be all that and everything. If you've got insecurities in the bedroom or erectile dysfunction, I say that your medical decisions should be up to scrutiny by the public and politicians, and I should be able to weigh in and determine whether or not you're allowed that treatment. If you need a penile pump put in so that you can get it up at all, I say I should be able to make that choice for you. You want to make choices for women as to what's right for their body, for their health, and for their mental well-being, and for their future. Now, am I saying you should be able to abort a healthy baby up to 9 months? No. But I've never met a woman who carries a baby more than, say, 4 months. Because, some women don't find out they're pregnant until they are 4 months along. Like me. with my first son. So I say, if you want to tell a woman when she can get an abortion, if she can get an abortion, and how she can get an abortion, and keep your nose into her medical records, then hey, I should be able to do the same with you. And the fact is, as I said, most women, by the time 4 months is up in her pregnancy, know they are pregnant and whether or not they want to get an abortion. So, any woman who's around 4 to 6 months along and have been carrying that baby, that woman is not going to get an abortion just because she doesn't want that baby. She's going to get an abortion because that baby is either posing a risk to her health and could kill her. And you do not want to allow her the option to have an abortion to save her own life. Well, then I guess somebody comes up to you, or like what happened today, somebody walks into your school and wants to shoot your teachers and children, that you shouldn't have the right to stop that person from doing that. Because that kid is going to murder you. Whether it's a child in the womb or a child with a gun in the school, it's going to murder you. And you should not have the right to protect your own life from that child. Anybody who's under the age of 17 that threatens another human life should not be killed to stop them from killing others. Because that's a child. And a child's life is important. And you should not be allowed to protect your own life from that child killing you. Stands to reason. If you can't protect your own life from a baby killing you, why should you be able to protect your own life from a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old standing there pointing a gun at you, wanting to kill you? The only thing you should be allowed to do in that case is stand there and wait to die. Concerning a woman getting a late abortion, she may be getting that abortion because the child has a birth defect. This birth defect may end up being something that will drain the family's economic well-being in treatments and hospital bills and institution bills, because that baby, when it's born, either because it has an undeveloped brain or it has other complications, that baby's gonna drain the family's well-being, let alone the parents' well-being, and put the family in danger of starvation. Because it will never, ever be able to grow up and function normally. Or it'll put that family in emotional hardship. Because the mother is going to have to give birth naturally to that child. And she's going to have to sit there and watch that child slowly die. I mean, you find a horse out in a field with a broken leg, and you will shoot it in the head to put it out of its misery. But a baby in a womb, a woman's womb that is now up to public scrutiny as to her medical treatments, who is going to be born and then slowly die in front of their parents and suffer, you have no compassion to put it out of its misery. How screwed up are you? You would take a living horse with a broken leg, which is fixable, granted at great cost, but it is fixable. And you put that horse out of its misery. You will walk into your house, grab your pistol, point it at the center of the forehead of that horse, and pull the trigger to put it out of its misery. But a doctor does tests on an unborn baby, or does an ultrasound on an unborn baby, and determines there is a birth defect in that baby that will make it so that baby is not viable, will not survive without being in the mother's womb after birth. And instead of having mercy on that baby, you would instead want it to come out, take its first looks of life, and feel nothing but pain while it lies there and slowly languishes. Because basically, the moment that baby came out of that womb, that baby's life was put in danger. That baby's life was ended. No different than a 98-year-old woman laying on her deathbed. But you don't want to save that child. It's suffering. But you put a horse out of its misery for a condition that is correctable. You're all hypocrites. Now, if you want to take a woman's privacy away and her right to privacy, if you want to be in her doctor's office making medical decisions for her, then I say not only do women not have the right to privacy in her medical records and her medical choices, but every woman, every man, and every child should not have the right to privacy concerning their medical records. if you are going to say that a woman does not have a right to make a choice between herself and her doctor as to what medical treatments are needed for her, then no woman, man, or child should have a right to determine what medical treatment is right for them, especially and including concerning elective surgeries. You getting a little old and saggy? You want that facelift? Screw you. Nature never meant you to look young forever. Get old looking and get over it. You a little bit fat and you want to stick that tube in your stomach to take all that fat cells out of there? Unless it's causing you a further medical problem, like giving you diabetes, and in fact, you know what? Screw it. No. Because if a child with a birth defect can't be put out of its misery, you get diabetes from being too fat? Get your ass out there, go take a walk, change your fucking diet, and get on medication. How's that sound? You shouldn't have a right to have some tube stuck into you to be able to remove that fat. You shouldn't be able to have a band put around your stomach to make your stomach smaller. Because let's just face it. My mom went through that surgery several times, and medical insurance paid for that surgery several times. Because her overweight made her a diabetic. And when they got rid of that weight, she no longer needed the medication because the diabetes went away. So, okay. Fine. You don't get your tummy tied off. That's not your right. You can't do that. You don't get that. You get to go out there and be put on a strict diet. Not go out there and do like my mom, lay down in front of the TV and eat Oreo cookies. And then wonder why you're gaining that weight back. You don't get to have that tummy tuck. You get to get your ass up, go outside, and walk around the fucking block a few times. You don't get to have your tummy tied off. You get to leave them damn Oreo cookies alone and start eating a healthy diet. A low-fat, healthy diet. That means leave your fucking bacon alone. You want to tell a woman what's right for her body and her health and have your nose in the privacy of her doctor's office, then we get to do that to everyone, not just women. We get to do it to women, we get to do it to men, and we get to do it to children. And I encourage every human being out there, once they pass their abortion ban bullcrap, I encourage every human being who is against that to go out there and protest for the right to every citizen's and politician's medical history and to the right to weigh in on what medical treatments they should be allowed to receive. What medical choices they are allowed to make for themselves, especially concerning elective surgery, liposuction, and lap band treatments for the stomach. Every human being should have those choices up to scrutiny for public and political decisions. You want to do it to a woman concerning her body? Then I say we have a right to do it to everyone. And if you're not out there protesting for that, after they've done what they've done, then you really didn't care about the issue of a woman's right. Every husband that cares about his wife's rights should be out there protesting for that. Every child that cares about their mother's rights should be out there protesting. Every mother out there who cares about a woman's rights should be out there protesting. And every human being who cares about their own privacy should be out there protesting. Because if you think the government, the rich, or the right are going to stop at the right to take your right to privacy away in the medical field, you're fooling yourself. You're a bunch of idiots. Because if they get away with that, next they get to take away your right in your marriage to privacy. And if you think that the only thing that they're going to take away in a right for marriage is LGBT or same-sex marriage, no. There are plenty of people, and the amount of bigotry in the Trumplican party should prove this. There are plenty of people out there who would love to tell a black woman she can't marry a white man. Who would love to tell Justice Thomas his marriage is illegal. Who would love to tell an Asian woman she can't marry a black man. That they don't have the right to that choice and that privacy. And once you get to that point, then it's just a step down to where the rich are telling the poor what they can do. So you want to take a woman's right to privacy away? Just remember how many politicians out there, especially Republican ones, are finding every way possible to nullify citizens' right to vote with voter suppression, gerrymandering. If you don't think that a politician would take advantage of a citizen's right of privacy and not to have it, and use that to manipulate the system and take your vote away, you're fooling yourself. With every right a politician allows to be chipped away at is another right they can figure out they can chip away at until we're no longer left with a democracy. We are then left with an autocracy. Now, many of you Republicans out there may be saying, oh, that's fine with me so long as I get the candidate I feel I want. Sure, they can overturn the election, those politicians out there, if they don't like how it turned out. But let's see. We're not in a general election. We're in the primaries, and you want this candidate, but all the politicians want this candidate. Do you think your primary vote is going to count? Or are they going to get the candidate they want? So, the politicians get this candidate because they overturned the election because they didn't like how you voted, how the majority of you voted. Hey, they got that planned in Georgia and Arizona. They got that planned. So now it comes to the general election. And there's no way in hell you're going to vote for that guy those politicians wanted. No way in hell. So you vote for the Democrat. The majority of your state votes for the Democrat. But the politicians in office say, we don't want a Democrat. We want this guy. So they overturn that election. They tell you, fuck you on your vote. It don't count. We don't care if you vote. This is only a placation action. We're only allowing you to vote to placate you, to make you think you have a right and a choice in political decisions in your nation. But guess what? You don't! Because we're taking that right away from you. You people are a bunch of idiots. You people don't even think 2 seconds in front of yourself. The only thing you think about is what you feel and what you want. And because you feel and what you want, you think that's the way it should be for everyone. But the instant the majority comes in and tells you what they feel and what they want, you're going to go out there and pull something like the January 6th incident. You know what that tells me about the majority of you people who are doing that crap? That you've lived too much of a spoiled and pampered and overprivileged life. That you have absolutely no concern for anybody's rights but your own. For anybody's choices but your own. For anybody's life but your own. And let me tell you something. If something actually really did happen that sent this nation into turmoil, where it was dog eat dog and survival is of the fittest, you are going to be the first people kicked out of the group. And if you think you can survive alone, think again. No human being in a situation of hunting and gathering and scrounging for food and for safe haven can do it alone. Because for one, you need to sleep sometime. And if you're an asshole enough, I'm sorry, they're not going to kick you out the group. They're going to wait for that moment you are sleeping. And they're going to bump your ass off. So you're no longer their threat or problem. And you're no longer anybody else's threat or problem. And it will become majority rule. Not minorities' feelings and wants. People make me sick. You don't want to give a woman her right to privacy and her right to her own medical choices, then absolutely no citizen should have that right. And every person out there who thinks a woman should have those rights should be absolutely out there protesting to take those same rights away from everybody else. And to make sure that the public and politicians have a say in everybody's medical treatment, including elective surgeries. Whether that elective surgery is to correct a life-threatening condition that can be corrected with a little more hard work or not. I should have the right to choose whether or not you have the right to big boobs, a perky butt, a younger looking face, to get rid of all the gray in your hair, and to have straight teeth. I should have a right to have a way in those decisions. If you're going to have the right to weigh in on the decisions my granddaughter makes concerning her health, her well-being, and her body, because it's no different, except for in her case, what she's doing may be giving a child some mercy or saving her life.